with a brutally honest review of one of the
somewhat overwhelming, a little bit underwhelming.
This is your chance to explore this world, to discover this world.
Like decade, typical this, typical that, none of that. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the newest episode of What's on Vienna, your immersive guide in the at times overwhelming world of classical music and arts events in the city.
We checked the event calendars for the second part of February and we chose few concerts at the Konzerthaus, Musikverein, and some opera performances at the Staatsoper, Theater an der Wien and Volksoper. Also, we're going to add a new segment to our episode today with a brutally honest review of one of the events we talked about last time.
So I'll start first with operatic recommendations. Now, most of you might know this, Vienna has three major opera houses. The most famous is, of course, Vienna Staatsoper, then we have the Theater an der Wien and Volksoper. And today I'll be talking about all three of them. In a somewhat unusual development of events, both Vienna Staatsoper and Theater an der Wien have chosen to program the same opera, Vincenzo Bellini's Norma. This doesn't happen very often, so this is really interesting. Staatsoper is offering something somewhat unusual, which is a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the creation of their production. On the 19th of February, you'll be able to attend their general rehearsal. However, if you want to go to the premiere, then it is on the 22nd of the month. Theater an der Wien is starting their Norma a little bit earlier on the 16th. However, the tickets for that performance are unfortunately or fortunately already sold out, including the standing tickets. So if you really want to attend that production, you'll have to check the later dates. Since the opera is hosting the legendary Opera Ball on the 27th, their month is cut a little bit short, so there are not that many things going on. But as a general disclaimer, if you have limited time, limited flexibility, and you really want to attend opera, maybe you're visiting the city for a short period of time, then feel free, of course, to choose whatever production you can go to, because they will always be of top quality. These recommendations are only our personal choices, the shows we would be attending ourselves. Now, moving to the third opera house, the Volksoper. They are programming one of very beautiful and not very often performed operas here in Vienna, which is Puccini's La Rondine, on the 20th and on the 28th, and I will be definitely attending this one myself on the 20th, because I think it's really a beautiful opportunity not to be missed.
Very exciting. So now we are jumping to the concerts. This year, Vienna Konzerthaus is presenting Beethoven Symphony Cycle, 4 evenings, 2 in February and 2 in June, performed by Jordi Savall and his orchestra. If you've been for a long time an admirer and a fan of historically informed performances, for sure you have your preferences and you made up your mind about if you want to go to this concert or not. But if you've never listened to these masterpieces by musicians who play on the period instruments, who really aim to come close to the musical aesthetic of that time, to the sound of that time, this is your chance to explore this world, to discover this world. Jordi Savall is a major figure in this sphere, so definitely something to check out on the 21st and the 23rd of February. In February we have the 3rd, 5th, the 6th and the 7th Symphony by Beethoven.
That's a lot. That's a lot of Beethoven. Yeah.
Not enough. Not enough.
Now I'm going to introduce something completely contrasting in terms of the amount of sound they can produce. The legendary brass group Viennese Mnozil brass, which is of course world famous and has a lot of fans and a pretty much cult following, is going to be celebrating its 30 years anniversary at the Konzerthaus on the 18th of February. This is going to be definitely a super energetic, festive, flamboyant, beautiful concert. However, if you're planning to attend that one, I would recommend to grab tickets really quickly since they'll be evaporating fast.
And now we jump to Musikverein for another symphonic concert, again by Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. February offers a generous amount of concerts by this amazing orchestra. Last time we discussed Schubert program. They have 2 more concerts in the second half of the month, 2 different programs, beautiful, and on the 18th and 22nd of February. Of course, this orchestra doesn't require any extra recommendation, but I feel that there are quite a few established orchestras, ensembles, performers from whom you would expect this kind of magic, really magical experience, and it doesn't always happen. And in my experience, Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra has been the best performances that I listened to in the last years, the most transformative and highly inspiring. So yeah, hurry up to purchase your tickets.
Now, last but not least, I will be introducing the one and only pianist Rudolf Buchbinder. Rudolf Buchbinder is a major celebrity, very important figure in the Viennese musical scene, a legendary pianist who has a world career for many decades. And he had this absolutely beautiful cycle of Schubert's music at the Musikverein. He was playing it in different constellations with string instruments, with singers, and now this is going to be final concerts where he is offering us a solo piano recital. On program we have the Schubert 4 Impromptu and his last piano sonata. So if you are in the mood to really dive into Schubert's music and be in the beautiful, emotional, meditative world of his music, then this is definitely a concert that I highly recommend. However, be warned that the last sonata by Schubert is very long, so you really have to have a special, particular set of mind to really deeply enjoy this concert. But that's it for my part.
But isn't it the most amazing piece for piano solo
Definitely,
ever?
definitely one of the best.
Yeah,
definitely one of the
That's
best.
it for today, but stay with us. We are continuing with the new segment of the episode where we are going to share our thoughts on the events we've attended.
Welcome back. So, before we get into the review part, I would like to address a question that we received from some of you of what we are drinking. And no, it is not coffee. We're actually enjoying some lavender tea. Yeah, sounds very pretentious. It is made of lavender blossoms and is supposedly good for you. It's prepared by Vira. Thank you.
Do you enjoy
And
it?
it's really enjoyable. So if you like the aroma and the smell of lavender, strongly recommend some lavender tea for this time of the year. Sorry. Now let's get into it.
So the only event that happened until we record this episode was the exhibition at the Leopold Museum, the poetry of the ornaments. As usually it occupies one floor, mostly with the drawings, very few pieces of furniture, one curtain, 2 chairs, and a very small piece of carpet, right?
Yeah. So to give you a little bit of context, Vira and I actually both are very interested in interior design, have a little bit of a passion actually for the decorations and in general the aesthetic of Vienna of the turn of the century. And we were really excited about this exhibition because we really wanted to really dive in and see these works and the ornaments the actual Viennese ornaments, which is of course a thing of its own in real life.
Of course. I'm always so fascinated by different ornaments. Sometimes just the combination of colors makes me so happy, or I don't know the way. So I was really excited about the exhibition.
Yeah, and then we went there, and the exhibition, of course, like Vira mentioned, does have some materials on display, but it lacked a little bit of context. It was not very immersive. It was unfortunately a little bit cold. It felt cold, and what I thought didn't help were the black and white photos of the patterns and interiors, which would have given us a completely different impression were they in color, which was of course impossible, but that didn't really help the exhibition at all.
Just give you an example. So there is a lot of drawings of the different ornaments, different designs. By the way, what was a bit more interesting, those catalogs with the designs, with like number of design and the names, mostly inspired by Italian cities, right?
Not only,
but of course a lot of others. But it was a bit curious. So you have this ornament, you have the design of the ornament, and then you have a tiny picture, black and white, and of the interior of the apartment,
where
so
this
particular.
design would have been used.
Have been used. So particular apartments from the beginning of the 20th century, mostly Viennese houses, and very tiny. And then you have a description where the only piece of information which was curious is the address. If you live in Vienna, it's always it's curious to imagine that this particular apartment was there, and you can imagine how it is. But then there was a description of what was on the picture, on this small picture, which I think you could really be more creative with the descriptions in this. This is the only text we received about this ornament and the apartment, right?
Yeah, we also didn't get very much context about the artists themselves who were creating these ornaments. Just very formal facts of when they were born and where and when they died, which was very unfortunate. There were, of course, interestingly, some female artists working there. Would have been very interesting to find out more about their backstory, how they ended up in this predominantly male community, how they got their jobs, and then in the end the impression we got was not particularly inspiring. There are not that many materials displayed over a lot of square meters, so it was a little bit fatiguing, somewhat overwhelming, a little bit underwhelming. However, one redeeming thing I have to say is that the patterns themselves applied on furniture that we got to see, which was 2 chairs, were very beautiful and very impressive. So it would have been very nice to see a lot more exhibits of actual designs applied and like in real life in 3D. But we didn't get very much of that, which is very strange. And in the end, unfortunately, it is not very surprising that the company went out of business
after 170 years. Which is, I think it's also.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But in the end, it gave a little bit of a sad impression, and it was overwhelming in terms of how much you had to walk and how fatiguing it was, and really underwhelming in its impact. So, future note to self: if you ever want to display ornaments that actually have color in them, don't go for black and white photography.
I mean, obviously at that time there was just black and white photography, but I can imagine that there are some technologies today that, first of all, you can make the picture larger, and the second, there is enough information about what colors those ornaments and furniture was. So I guess with a little note that it's not a real picture, but it's kind of how we imagine it was. True. Because I mean, if you want to look at the visual art, you experience it through visual. So I don't want to experience interior but like reading the description that I
Yeah.
could read in the book or internet at home.
For instance, they
Yeah.
could have recreated the actual rooms, like a little bit IKEA style, how we get to walk through the pre-designed. But yeah, why not? You know, like we could have really immersed ourselves in this atmosphere. They could have had sample rooms, sample typical, let's say, I don't know, interiors from whatever this like decade, typical this, typical that. None of that. And another big criticism from my part was that the title was misleading. There was absolutely nothing poetic. There was no poetry of Ornament.
Yeah.
It was not speaking to us, and especially not inspiring us in poetic terms.
Yeah, I expected much more philosophical view of the aesthetic symbolism of the ornaments, of the I don't know, the process of the artists themselves creating these ornaments, how they were incorporating those in the interior design. So this kind of thing that could be in those descriptions, something that evokes ideas, fantasies, and not just you have in this picture you see a chair of this color next to the, I don't know. So yeah, I just, it seemed like a lot of possibilities were missed.
Maybe it was also our fault a little bit.
Yeah.
We came in with very high expectations.
Very high,
Because, of course, Vienna of the time was a major city with fantastic people who inhabited it, with extremely interesting artistic tendencies. And, of course, there were plenty of tastemakers that were influencing the fashions in Europe. And we kind of expected to get the feel of that a little bit more.
But don't you think it's kind of symptomatic for the of the general issue among Viennese museums, the curators' work of exhibitions?
It can be at times a little bit cold. It can.
I mean, if you would compare
definitely.
to other major cities in Europe and those museums, I mean, of course, Vienna has amazing collection of artworks, but it seems like they could be presented in a better way.
Definitely, but we'll keep you updated on our exhibition adventures next time we go, and stay tuned for the next episode.
And please let us know what you think about these topics, and maybe you've attended the exhibitions or in general about the Viennese scene of museums. And yeah, so thank you for all the recommendations we've received about the concerts, and please keep sending.
And let's stay in touch.
Yeah.
Bye.
Subscribe, like, and follow.